How's it going, guys? Today's project in the garage is this Boland's push mower. I got it from my scrap guy. It's in pretty rough shape. This was probably a nice mower once at one point. So there's no air filter in this guy, and the filter cover just came separately. Didn't even have a screw. It's got a nice mulching blade which looks brand new, so that's weird that they would get rid of it with a brand new blade, which makes me a little nervous. It has a little bit of fuel in it, it's got a little bit of oil in it, and we're just going to take you through and see if we can save this one. So right off the bat, there is a bit of an issue with this brake cable. It seems to be like sort of locked in the engaged position, so to me that would mean that they're having an issue with the brake cable. Alright, so let's just take you through my normal process here. The spark plug's engaged, or spark plug wire is attached, and give it a couple shots of prime. I'm going to look in here and see if it's priming. It is. The primer system works just fine. And we'll give it a couple pulls. Oh, that doesn't sound good. Almost seems like something, I don't know, is engaged, rubbing on the bottom or something like that, which I don't think. Kind of sounded like it was coming from under the cover, like internally maybe. So anyways, I'm gonna shoot a little quick start in here. Maybe it's just bad fuel. Yeah, it's just something not right. Something doesn't seem right within the engine there. Alright. Well, looks like this top cover is missing the screws. Oh, someone's been in here dickering. Let's take a look at this. Where there should be a spring for the governor attached to that arm, they got wire. Oh, geez. Okay. Well, let's get rid of this first of all. I guess I'm going to check for spark next. And see if we get any spark. You guys will be my eyes on the spark tester. Alright, so let's see if we have spark, guys. Alright, so I'm going to check the video and see what you guys saw. So I'll be right back. Alright guys, so as you guys saw, there was no spark there. So I think what I'm going to have to do is maybe get into this thing a little bit more, investigate a little bit more. So I'm going to take some of these covers and shrouds off here, and I'll bring you back if I find something that's worthy of letting you guys know. Alright guys, so I got some covers off, and as you can see, Mouse has made a home here underneath this cover. So hopefully they've been evicted, and I'm going to clean this out, and I can tell you already that this gap right here on the ignition coil is way too big. So maybe that's why we're not getting spark. We'll take a look at it here in a sec. Alright guys, so I cleaned out the mouse nest But anytime there's mice or rodents been in here, a lot of times I like to check over the wiring. There's not a lot of wiring on these little guys. So you got your ignition coil wire, and then there's a ground wire down here off the bottom. So I'm just checking over the condition of that wiring. If this ground wire is kind of chewed into, it might cause the coil to not produce a spark. I see a little area right here. I don't know if you're going to be able to see this. Basically right where my thumb is there. Looks like there's a little bit of a nick in the wire, so I'm not sure that's the issue there. But what I'm going to do is when I troubleshoot no spark, I like to take off of the ground wire, detach that. Actually, you know what? Because this gap is so big, I'm not going to start there. I'm going to start at re-gapping this coil. So I do have a video on how to properly gap your ignition coil. So I'll link to that video in the top right now. And I'm going to test that out and see if that works. Alright guys, so I re-gapped the ignition coil. And the gap is definitely much smaller. It's only about 0.010 of an inch, which is basically the width of a business card. Alright, so I've got the ground wire still attached. Yeah, I'm going to put the starter recoil back on, and then I'll try and see if we got some spark after this. Alright guys, so it's a little hard to tell sometimes with all the lights. So I closed the garage door, and let me give you another couple pulls. Alright guys, so next stage here is to see, just because it has spark doesn't mean, coming from this wire doesn't mean that the spark plug's any good. So what I'm going to do is try and spin the engine over here, and I'm going to ground this plug and see if we have any spark coming out of it. Okay, so now we're going to see if this thing's going to fire up for us. I also put a spring up here, install the proper spring. So I'm going to put the covers back on, I'm going to open up the door, and then we're going to retest this again. Alright guys, so I got the garage door back open here. I got a set of pliers ready here just in case if it does fire. I can disconnect the spark plug boot using a set of pliers. And the reason for that is of course this brake cable here is stuck in the open position, which means you'll never get it to ground out and shut off the mower. Alright, so that's how I'd have to shut off the mower. So let's give her a couple more shots of prime and see what we get. So there's definitely still something. It doesn't sound right with the engine. Yeah, I don't know if this... I think something is kind of loose here. I'm willing to bet this is loose, because this is not the right kind of blade for this blade adapter. So they put a new blade on it, but it's not the right kind of blade. Just killed a spider. Now it's going to rain for 7 days. I don't know how that tail goes, but I should still be able to get a puff out of it. I don't want it to run for too long with that the way it is. So let's just see if we can get it to puff at least. Alright, yeah, we're not getting anything. Oh! It'd help if you put a spark plug. Wire back on. Alright, I did kind of get something that almost was like a backfire. I did check the flywheel key when I was in there. Yeah, something's not right. I don't like that blade. So I think I'm going to go and find a different blade and see about changing out the blade and see if that will help. Alright guys, so this is what I found out when I took the blade adapter off, or the bolt out for the blade. As you can see, this is not the right blade for this type of an adapter. So it's very important that you match up the blade to the adapter that you have on your mower. I'm going to go see if I can find one just like this. Alright guys, so I put a proper blade on the bottom of this thing, so we're going to give it a try. I don't know, I'm not hopeful, but let's give it a whirl anyways. Yeah, it's definitely... Alright guys, so there's definitely something wrong with the timing. Although I did check the flywheel key, so the timing is off. I suspect the new blade is on there because somebody whacked something, which I'm surprised then that the flywheel key wasn't sheared. So I'm going to take another quick look at that, and we're going to go from there. Alright guys, so it looks like I've actually been tricked here a little bit. The first time I looked here at the crankshaft keyway, and I looked down here and I thought that there was actually a key here. But turns out there is the key, and it's kind of covered with some rust right over there. So the key way for the flywheel is here, keyway for the crankshaft is here. So turns out my speculation was correct. So I'm going to take this flywheel off and actually line up the keyways and put in a new key. I do have a video for that, so you can go ahead and click the link in the top right and it'll take you to that video. And once I finish that up, then I'll be back, and hopefully you can get this thing going. Alright guys, so as you can see, I got the flywheel back on and matched up with the crankshaft there. So the two halves of the keyway actually are lined up with the new flywheel key installed. Once again, I'll put everything back together and we'll test. Hopefully this time it's going to start. Alright guys, 8th time's the charm, and got her all back together. Let's see if she's gonna go. Alright, well, instead of killing it by pulling this off, I've actually just closed off the throttle, and that did the same as well since I had it all open still. So that's promising, guys. I think this one might be a survivor. I got a game plan for this problem as well. I do have a couple, probably not the exact same one, but at least I can put a cover on here so it will prevent anyone from sticking their hands in there. So yeah guys, this one was a little bit tricky. A couple of issues just to get it started. I still have to figure out this brake cable issue. So I suspect maybe they put a brake cable that probably wasn't the right one, much like the blade that wasn't the right one. So I'll try and sort this guy out, and hopefully I can come back and show you the final product, being a survivor. Hey guys, just a quick update on this guy. So I got the carb all cleaned out, and I got the spark plug all cleaned up and re-gapped. I found a cover with a screw and a good used air filter to put on here. I put on a plug just to protect anyone from sticking their hand in there. I was able to get the brake cable unseized, and it's now working as well. I just used some lubrication and sort of worked this back and forth, and then put some lubrication in the other end of the cable as well, up here. So everything seems to be in order. I put some fresh fuel in it, and I think I'm going to test drive it for a little while, let it run and warm up the oil. And the last two things I got to do is oil change, and then after that, guys, just clean it up and get it ready for sale. I think this will be a good little mower for somebody. So thanks again guys for watching, and as always, if you enjoyed the content, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button and the notification bell, and you'll get a chance to be notified anytime I put out new content. So until next time guys, take care.